I pulled into my parents' driveway at 6:47 p.m. on a Friday in late September. The sun was setting behind the two-story colonial I'd grown up in, painting the white siding golden. My childhood bedroom window on the second floor, the one with the bay window seat, I'd read 1,000 books on, was dark. I grabbed my overnight bag from the passenger seat. I'd been making this drive from Boston every other weekend for 3 years. 2 hours down I-95, 2 hours back on Sunday afternoon. Ever since I'd started my consulting job and could afford the gas. Mom opened the door before I could knock. "Oh, you're here. Not hi, sweetie. Not how was the drive. Just oh. You're here?" "Yeah." I stepped inside. Traffic wasn't bad. I made good time. She was already walking toward the kitchen. "Your sister's upstairs. She got in this afternoon." My sister Brooke. 26 too, the daughter who'd moved to New York after college to pursue acting. The daughter who called once a month, usually asking for money. The daughter who hadn't been home for a weekend visit in 2 years. I set my bag at the bottom of the stairs, started to head up to my room. "Wait," Mom called from the kitchen. "We need to talk to you about something." Dad was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, even though it was almost 7 at night. He didn't look at me when I came in. "What's up, Primera?" asked. Mom folded her hands on the counter. "Brooke's going through a difficult time right now. She's had some setbacks in New York. Her roommate situation fell through and she needs to come home for a while." "Okay," I said slowly. "That's fine. The guest room doesn't have enough space for all her things. And she needs a quiet place to work on her audition materials. Good natural light for her self-tapes." I had a bad feeling about where this was going. "So we've decided," Mom continued, "that Brooke should have your room. Just temporarily. Until she gets back on her feet." I stared at her. "My room? It's the biggest bedroom. The bay window has the best light. And you're only here every other weekend anyway. Where am I supposed to sleep?" We set up the pull-out couch in the basement. It's actually quite comfortable. Dad finally looked up. "It's not a big deal. Madison, you're barely here. I'm here every other weekend. I have been for 3 years. And your sister is here full-time now," Mom said. "She needs the space more than you do." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "For how long?" Mom shrugged. "A few months, maybe 6, however long it takes for her to get back on her feet." "Did you ask me about this?" "We're telling you now." "No. I mean, did you think maybe you should ask before you gave away my room?" Mom's face hardened. "It's not your room. It's a room in our house, and we've decided this is what's best for the family." "Best for Brooke, you mean?" "Don't be selfish," Dad said. "Your sister is going through a hard time. She needs family support." I looked at him. Really looked at him. At the coffee he was drinking that I'd bought, at the reading glasses I'd paid for when his insurance wouldn't cover them, at the kitchen table that I'd helped pick out when they'd remodeled 2 years ago. "Right," I said quietly. "Family support." I went upstairs. The door to my room, Brooke's room now, apparently was closed. I could hear music playing inside. Taylor Swift's latest album. Brooke had always played her music loud. I knocked. "Come in." I opened the door. My room had been completely transformed. My bookshelf was gone. My desk was gone. My framed art prints were stacked in the corner. Brooke's clothes covered every surface: the bed, the window seat, the chair that used to be in the corner. She was sitting at a new vanity table, applying makeup. A ring light illuminated her face. "Oh, hey Madison," she smiled at me in the mirror. I was just getting ready to film some content, trying to build my social media presence, you know. "They gave you my room." "Yeah. Isn't it perfect? The natural light is insane. Look." She stood up and struck a pose by the bay window. "My agent says I need to work on my brand visibility. This room is going to be so good for my self-tapes. Where's all my stuff?" "Oh." Mom moved it to the basement. "Don't worry. She was really careful with everything." I nodded slowly. Took a breath. How long are you staying? I'm not sure yet. At least through the holidays, maybe longer if things don't work out in New York. She turned back to the mirror. But between you and me, I think I'm done with New York. Too expensive, too stressful. I'm thinking about transitioning to influencer work. I can do that from anywhere. So, you're moving back home permanently. Maybe. Mom and Dad said I could stay as long as I need to. Isn't that amazing? They're so supportive. She went back to her makeup. I stood there for another moment, then closed the door and went downstairs to the basement. My books were in cardboard boxers. My desk was disassembled and leaning against the wall. My art prints were wrapped in newspaper. The pull-out couch was already extended, with sheets that smelled like the basement damp and musty. I sat on the edge of the couch and pulled out my phone. Opened my banking app, looked at the automatic payments I'd been making for the past 5 years. That night at dinner, Brooke dominated the conversation. She'd had a callback for a commercial. Her Instagram was growing. She was up to 2,000 followers. She'd been networking with other actors in New York. It's all about who you know, she said, serving herself a second helping of roast chicken. I met a director at a party last month. Said primera de interesting energy. That's wonderful, sweetheart, Mom said. Are you booking any actual jobs? I asked. Brooke's smile tightened. It's not about booking jobs. It's about building a career. Creating a brand. You wouldn't understand. You took the traditional path. The traditional path of having a job, you mean? Girls, Dad said, let's keep things pleasant. I just think Madison could be more supportive, Brooke said. I'm trying to pursue my dreams. That takes courage. You're right, I said. I should be more supportive. Mom looked surprised. Really? Absolutely. Brooke needs space to pursue her dreams. She needs the room with the best light. She needs family support. I took a sip of water. She deserves it more than I do. Brooke beamed. Thank you. That means a lot. After dinner, I helped Mom with the dishes. She was in a better mood now that I'd come around. I'm glad you're being mature about this, she said, handing me a plate to dry. Brooke really needs us right now. I can see that. And you're doing so well. You have that nice job in Boston? Your own apartment. You don't need us the same way she does. I dried the plate carefully. Set it in the cabinet. You're absolutely right. That night, in the basement, on the pull-out couch, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my room upstairs. The bay window where I'd spent hours reading. The desk where I'd done my homework every night. The walls I'd painted sage green when I turned 16. The room that wasn't mine anymore. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app again. The automatic payments were all there. Every single one. 5 years of transfers, never missing a date. I'd set them up in 2019, right after I got my first real job out of grad school. Dad had called me, voice tight with stress. The mortgage was behind. Mom's medical bills from her surgery had wiped out their savings. They were looking at foreclosure, just for a few months, he'd said, just until we get back on our feet. The few months had become a year. The year had become 5. I paid their mortgage, $2,100 a month. I paid their homeowner's insurance, $385 a month. I paid their property taxes, twice a year, $3,200 each time. I paid Mom's car payment, $427 a month. I paid their internet and streaming services, $156 a month. Every month for 5 years. $36,468 per year. $182,340 total. And in all that time, they'd never said thank you, never asked if I could afford it. Never mentioned it at all. It was just expected. The way it had always been expected that I'd be the responsible one. The one who didn't need attention, the one who didn't make waves. I looked at the basement ceiling, could hear footsteps above me, Brooke, walking around in my room. Then I opened each automatic payment, and I canceled them. Every single one. The mortgage payment scheduled for October 1st, 3 days away. Cancelled. The insurance payment. Cancelled. The car payment. Cancelled. The internet bill. Cancelled. I did it methodically, carefully. Confirmed each cancellation, then I turned off my phone and went to sleep. I woke up Saturday morning to the smell of pancakes. Mom always made pancakes on Saturday mornings when Brooke was home. She stopped making them from my visits about 2 years ago, said it was too much trouble for just the three of us. Upstairs, Brooke was at the kitchen table in a silk robe, scrolling through her phone. A stack of pancakes sat in front of her, topped with fresh strawberries and whipped cream. "Morning," she said cheerfully. "Mom made my favorite breakfast." "I see that." Mom was at the stove. "There's cereal in the pantry if you want something." "Madison." "I'm good." I made myself coffee and sat at the table. Dad came in from the garage, oil on his hands. "The lawnmower's acting up again," he said. "Madison, you think that boyfriend of yours knows anything about small engines?" "I don't have a boyfriend." "Oh, I thought you were seeing someone." "That was 2 years ago. We broke up." He looked genuinely surprised. "You didn't tell us?" "I did. You said that's too bad, and changed the subject to Brooke's audition." Awkward silence. Brooke jumped in. "So, I'm thinking about getting some professional headshots done. Mom, do you think you could help me pay for them? They're like $800 for a good package." $800, Dad said. "It's an investment in my career. All the casting directors want updated high-quality professional lighting. The whole thing." Mom looked at Dad. Some silent communication passed between them. "We can probably do $400, Dad said. "Can you cover the rest?" "I'm kinda broke right now," Brooke said. "I spent most of my savings getting out of that bad roommate situation." They both looked at me. "What?" I said. "Could you help your sister with the headshots?" Mom asked. It would mean so much to her. I took a sip of coffee. "No." Brooke's mouth fell open. "What?" I said. "No. I'm not paying for your headshots, but it's only $400. You have a good job then, you should get a good job too. Pay for your own headshots." "Madison." Mom's voice was sharp. "Your sister is trying to build a career, so she can pay for her career expenses." Dad's face was red. "When did you become so selfish?" "I'm not being selfish. I'm being realistic. Brooke is 26 years old. If she wants professional headshots, she should pay for them herself. You've never supported my dreams," Brooke said, tears welling in her eyes. "You've always been jealous of me." "I'm not jealous of you." "Yes, you are. You always have been. Just because you chose a boring office job, doesn't it mean you get to tear me down for following my passion?" I stood up. "I'm going for a walk." I spent most of Saturday out of the house, drove to the coffee shop I used to study at in high school, walked around my old neighborhood, sat in the park and read on my phone. When I got back around 5 p.m., there was a moving truck in the driveway. Brooke was directing 2 guys carrying furniture into the house. A white vanity, a full-length mirror with built-in lighting, a professional camera set up on a tripod. "What's all this?" I asked. "My content creation equipment." She was practically bouncing. "I found it all on sale." "They paid for all this." "Well, they helped. I put it on their credit card and I'll pay them back once I start monetizing my content." I looked at Mom, who was standing in the doorway supervising. "You put $2,200 on your credit card for her equipment?" "It's an investment," Mom said. "Brooke needs the right tools to succeed. But you can't give me $400 for Brooke called from inside. "That was for the headshots and the equipment," Mom explained. "We're supporting her career." I walked past them into the house, went down to the basement, sat on the pull-out couch and opened my banking app, checked the calendar. Today was September 28th. The mortgage payment had been scheduled for October 1st, Monday. It was now cancelled. The bank would try to process it, find no funds, and send a notice to my parents. I'd received the notices for years, forwarded from my address to theirs. They'd never known the payments were coming from me. I'd set it up that way, deliberately told the bank to list the payments as coming from M. Chun, not Madison Chun. My dad's name was Michael. He'd always assumed the M stood for him. 3 days until they found out. Sunday morning, I packed my bag early. Didn't wait for breakfast. Didn't say goodbye to Brooke. I found Mom in the kitchen with her coffee. "Leaving already?" she asked. "I thought you usually stayed until after lunch." "I have work to do. Need to get back to Boston." "Okay. Well, drive safe." I paused at the door. "Mom, can I ask you something?" Sure. "When was the last time you asked me how I'm doing?" She looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, when was the last time you asked about my life? My job? My friends? Anything about me that was you and Ed related to what I could do for Brooke or Dad or you?" "That's not fair. It's a genuine question." "When?" Mom's face flushed. "I don't keep track of every conversation we have." "I do. It's been 11 months. Last Thanksgiving, you asked if I was seeing anyone. I said I'd broken up with James. You said that's too bad, and then Brooke announced she'd booked a commercial, and we spent the rest of dinner talking about her." "You're being dramatic. Maybe. Or maybe I'm finally seeing things clearly." I picked up my bag. "Thanks for the weekend." I drove back to Boston with my phone on silent. Didn't listen to music. Just drove and thought about the last 5 years. About all the payments I'd made, all the help I'd given, all the times I'd been there. And how none of it had mattered, because I wasn't Brooke. I wasn't the golden child who needed saving. I was just Madison. The responsible one. The one who didn't need attention. The one who paid for everything while Brooke took the credit. Monday morning, I was in a client meeting when my phone started buzzing. I ignored it. The meeting went until noon. When I checked my phone, I had 7 missed calls from my mother and 12 text messages. The first text, "Madison, call me immediately." The second, "This is important. Call now." The third, "The bank called. They said the mortgage payment didn't go through." I put my phone away and went to lunch. When I got back to my apartment that evening, there were 23 missed calls, 17 from Mom, 6 from Dad. I made myself dinner. Grilled chicken and vegetables. Ate it slowly while I watched Netflix. At 8 p.m., my phone rang again. "Dad," I answered. "Madison." "Jesus Christ. We've been trying to reach you all day." "I was working." "What's up? What's up? What's up?" "The mortgage payment didn't go through. The bank called your mother this morning, saying we're 72 hours overdue. They said if we don't make the October payment by Friday, we'll incur a late fee and it'll affect our credit." "That's unfortunate." "Unfortunate? Madison, this is serious. We need you too." He stopped. "Wait. Did you cancel the payment?" "Yes." Silence. You, ... You canceled it. "Why?" "Because I'm not paying it anymore." "What do you mean you're not paying it anymore?" "You have to pay it." "We can't afford, then you should probably figure out how to afford it. It's your mortgage." "Madison, this isn't funny." "I'm not joking. I've been paying your mortgage for 5 years. $2,100 a month." More silence. You, ... You knew." "Of course I knew. I set up the payments. I've been making them every month since 2019. But you never said anything. You never asked. You just assumed the mortgage was being paid. You never wondered where the money was coming from." I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. "Why are you doing this?" he asked finally. "Because you gave my room to Brooke. Because you bought her $2,200 worth of equipment while I sleep on a pull-out couch in the basement. Because in 5 years of me paying your bills, you've never once said thank you. We didn't know. You didn't want to know. It was easier not to ask." Easier to just let me handle it while you focused on Brooke and her dreams. Your sister is going through a hard time, and I've been going through a hard time for 5 years, Dad. I took a second job in 2020 to afford your mortgage. I have Ewan taken a vacation since 2019. I drive a 2012 Honda with 160,000 miles because I couldn't afford a car payment and your mortgage payment. Why didn't you tell us? Because every time I tried to talk about money, you told me I was being selfish. You told me Brooke needed help. You told me family supports family. We do support each other. No. I supported you. You took. There's a difference. I could hear my mother in the background, saying something I couldn't make out. Your mother wants to talk to you, Dad said. I don't want to talk to her. Madison, please. The mortgage payment is due Friday. You need to figure out how to pay it. I'm done. I hung up. The calls and texts continued all week. Tuesday. We need to talk about this rationally. Wednesday, you're being incredibly selfish and immature. Thursday, your sister is crying. She can't believe you're doing this to us. Friday morning, we had to take money from our retirement account to make the mortgage payment. I hope you're happy. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I did something I'd been putting off for years. I called a financial advisor and made an appointment. Brought all my bank statements. Showed her everything. You've been supporting your parents financially for 5 years, she asked, looking at the numbers. Yes, and you're 31 years old, making $89,000 a year. Yes. She did some calculations on her computer. If you'd been putting that $3,000 a month into a retirement account instead of paying their bills, you'd have approximately $195,000 in savings right now, accounting for market growth and compound interest. The number hit me like a physical blow, almost $200,000. Yes, and if you continue to save that money going forward, assuming a modest 7% annual return, you'd have $1.2 million by the time you're ready to retire. I stared at the spreadsheet she'd turned around to show me. This doesn't account for your own goals, she continued. Buying a home, getting married, having children, travel, all the things you've presumably put on hold. I have put them on hold. Why? Because my family needed help. She looked at me over her reading glasses. Did they? Or did they need to learn to live within their means? I didn't have an answer for that. 2 weeks after I canceled the payments, Brooke called me. Her number had been blocked for years, but she called from a number I didn't recognize. Madison. It's me. I know. Can we talk? Please, we're talking now. In person. Can you come home this weekend? No. Please. Mom and Dad are freaking out. They're talking about selling the house. Downsizing. Moving somewhere cheaper. This is all because of you. This is because they can't afford their mortgage without my help. But you were helping. You were paying it. Why did you stop? Because they gave you my room, Brooke. They bought you $2,200 worth of equipment and told me I was selfish for not giving you $400 for head, and the whole time I was paying for the roof over your head. I didn't know that. Exactly. None of you knew. None of you cared to know. You just took and assumed I'd always be there to make it work. That's not fair. Do you know what I gave up to pay that mortgage? I worked 60-hour weeks. I canceled trips with friends because I couldn't afford them. I stayed in a studio apartment with broken heating because I couldn't afford anywhere better. And you got to move to New York and pursue your dreams on my dime. I didn't ask you to do that. No. But you benefited from it. You got to fail at acting for 7 years because I made sure you had a home to come back to. Silence on the line. What do you want from me? She asked finally. Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I just want to be done. Done with what? With being the invisible daughter? The one who doesn't need anything. The one who pays for everything while you take all the attention. I never asked to be the favorite, but you are, and Mom and Dad made that choice. So now they can deal with the consequences. 3 weeks after I canceled the payments, my father showed up at my apartment in Boston. I was coming home from the gym when I saw him sitting in his car in the parking lot. He got out when he saw me. Madison, we need to talk. I don't think we do. Please. 5 minutes. I unlocked my apartment door, left it open. He followed me inside. He looked around at my studio apartment. The one small window, the kitchenette that was barely big enough for a microwave, the couch that doubled as my bed, the single chair at a folding table that served as my dining room. "This is where you live?" he asked. "Yes." Jesus. I had no idea. "You never asked." He sat down heavily in the chair. "Your mother and I have been talking. About everything. About the money you've been paying. About how we treated you." I set down my gym bag. "Okay. We didn't realize. We didn't see." He stopped. "That's not true. We did see. We just didn't want to admit it." "Admit what?" "That we took advantage of you. That we let Brooke become our whole focus while you took care of everything else." He looked at his hands. "I got the credit card statement yesterday. The one with Brooke's equipment purchase. We also charged her groceries, her phone bill, her car insurance. $3,847 in 1 month. That's a lot. We can't afford it. We could barely afford the mortgage before you stopped paying. Now we're drowning. So what do you want from me?" "I want you to know that we're sorry. Really, truly sorry. We're selling the house." I looked up sharply. "What?" "We're putting it on the market next week. Downsizing to a condo, something we can actually afford on our income. Your mother's fighting it, but I put my foot down. We can't keep living beyond our means and expecting you to cover the difference." "What about Brooke? She'll have to figure it out. She's 26, she can get a job, pay rent, live like an adult." He met my eyes. "I'm sorry it took us this long to see what we were doing. To see what we were doing to you." I felt something loosen in my chest. Not forgiveness, not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. "I appreciate that," I said quietly. "I don't expect you to forgive us, or to help us anymore. I just wanted you to know that we finally understand after Elith." I sat in my studio apartment and cried. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time in 5 years, someone in my family had actually seen me. 4 months later, my parents sold the house. They moved into a 2-bedroom condo in a 55 community 40 minutes away. Brooke moved in with a friend in Providence and got a job at a restaurant. Posted about it on Instagram like it was a character study for an upcoming role. Mom called me once a week now. Asked about my job, my friends, my life. It was awkward at first. We didn't know how to talk to each other when it wasn't about what I could do for them. But we were learning. Dad sent me a check for $5,000. It's not enough. To note side, it's not even close. But it's a start. We're paying you back. It might take a while, but we're doing it. I deposited the check. Put it in a new savings account I'd opened, the one labeled Future. 6 months after I canceled the payments, I signed a lease on a 1-bedroom apartment with a real kitchen and 2 windows that got morning light. I bought real furniture. A bed frame, a couch that wasn't a pull-out, a dining table. I took a vacation to Portugal. 2 weeks. Spent money on nice dinners and wine, and a hotel room with a view of the ocean. I went on dates. Met someone nice, a teacher named Ryan who made me laugh and never asked me to pay for his bills. And every month, when I checked my bank account and saw the extra $3,000 still there, not going to my parents' mortgage, I felt something I hadn't felt in 5 years. Free. 1 year after I canceled the payments, Brooke called me from a new number again. "Madison, it's me." "Hi Brooke, I wanted to tell you something. I got a job. A real job, not acting. I'm working as a social media manager for a marketing company in Providence." "That's great. Yeah, it's actually pretty good money. $52,000 a year. And they have benefits, real benefits. I'm happy for you. I wanted to say thank you. For what? For stopping the payments. For making Mom and Dad face reality. For making me face reality. She paused. I was never going to make it as an actress. I wasn't good enough, but I was too comfortable to admit it because there was always someone there to catch me. Brooke, no, let me finish. You were right about everything. I was spoiled. I was entitled, and I took advantage of you for years without even realizing it. Her voice cracked. I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you for saying that. I know I can't make up for it, for all the years of taking you for granted. But I'm trying to be better, to be someone you'd actually want as a sister. You're already getting there, I said. We talked for another hour. Really? Toke. Gloke? For the first time in maybe our entire lives. And when we hung up, I realized something. The best thing I'd ever done for my family wasn't paying their bills. It was stopping. Epilogue. 2 years after I canceled the payments, I stood in my new 2-bedroom condo, one ID bought with the down payment ID, saved over 18 months and looked around at the life ID built. Real furniture. Art on the walls. A kitchen, where I actually cooked. A bedroom with morning light and a reading nook by the window. My phone rang. Mom. Hi, honey. Are you still coming to dinner on Sunday? Wouldn't miss it. Wonderful. Your father's making his famous pot roast, and Brooke's bringing her boyfriend. We finally get to meet him. Sounds great. Oh, and Madison? Thank you. Thank you. For what? For teaching us what we should have known all along? That real family support isn't about money, it's about showing up. Being present. Actually caring. I smiled. You're welcome, Mom. After we hung up, I walked to the window and looked out at the city. Behind me, Ryan was in the kitchen starting dinner. Jazz playing softly from the speaker. The smell of garlic and olive oil. This was the life I'd been working toward for 2 years. The life I'd been unable to build when I was paying for everyone else's. My phone buzzed. A text from my financial advisor. Your retirement account just crossed $100,000. Congratulations. I'd put in $72,000 over 2 years. The market had done the rest. I thought about what she'd told me that first meeting, that I'd have $1.2 million by retirement if I kept saving. I was on track. Actually ahead of track. Dinner's ready, Ryan called from the kitchen. I put my phone away and walked toward the life I'd chosen. The one where I came first, where my needs mattered. Where I was visible, the one where I wasn't the invisible daughter anymore. And it was worth every canceled payment.